What is going on, guys? 821 Mayo here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how you can learn how to do every single quick lean in Rainbow Six Siege. Make sure you guys stick around until the end of the video so that way you can get everything you need to know, and there's going to be the most important stuff at the end, so make sure you guys seriously stick around. So without wasting any more time, let's start talking about how you can learn how to quick lean. So when it comes to learning how to quick lean, it's very basic. People often overcomplicate it. So what I want you guys to do to first start yourself out on learning how to do this is just by strafing in and out of a doorway and learning the angle of whatever it is you're trying to quick lean. And I know this might seem simple or it's not going to help, but trust me guys, the biggest part of learning how to quick lean and doing it properly is learning the angles you want to peek and making sure everything follows smoothly one after another. Before we carry on with the video, I quickly want to mention that 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you guys have not hit that sub button already, I would really appreciate it. It also helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I also want to mention that I can coach you, so if you guys want a private coaching session or a private VOD review session, there's a link to my Patreon down below in the description, and yes, I do coach console players. And lastly, I also want to mention that I have a second channel. What you can find here is exclusive content like private coaching sessions. You can also find tier lists and any other content that is from my Twitch live stream. A link to that is also in the description. So if you start out wrongly and you overstrafe or understrafe, that is going to offset the tempo for everything else that you're going to be doing within the quick lean. So make sure you guys start out with strafing. Again, I know it's very basic, but just trust me, start out with this. And then once you get comfortable doing this, learning the angle of whatever it is you're trying to peek, now this is where you start to incorporate the leaning aspect of it. So we're going to start out with the most basic thing and we will move our way towards the end. And make sure you guys watch until the end of the video because everything that I'm going to say in this video will add up to the most important stuff at the end. So once you get comfortable with the strafing, start adding the leaning into it. Just lean to the side that you're trying to peek and just do this until you feel comfortable doing it. And then this is where we begin with our very first quick lean. So with this one, we'll be in the neutral non-leaning stance. We start strafing and then we lean to the side that we want to peek with the angle. And then we would strafe out and then press the E key in this example to unlean. So just to show this again, we will strafe into the angle, lean while we're strafing, and then strafe out by pressing D, and then pressing E while we're strafing. So it would look something very similar to this here. So as I'm pressing A, my middle finger moves over to press Q, and then once I get out of the angle or I want to leave the angle, I would then press D while also taking my middle finger over W, and then pressing E. So it would look something very similar to this here. So this is the most basic and simple and least amount of input quick lean when it comes to the three that I'm going to show you today. Okay, so coming up next we have the one-sided quick lean that I like to call it. This is pretty much the lean where you are only going to be leaning one side and using the same key to cancel out the lean animation. So again, start out with the strafe and then lean into the side that you want to peek. And then instead of leaning the opposite way when we want to leave the angle, what we're going to do is just press the same key that we use to lean to that side. So if I want to peek a doorway that's on my left, I'm going to lean to the left by pressing Q. And then when I want to leave the angle, I'll just press Q again. So you would start out by pressing A, Q, and then Q, and then D. So it would look something like this here. And as I'm doing it, again, I'm pressing A, Q, D, Q. Something like that. So A, Q, D, Q. Very similar. So what I do is, since we already understand how to double lean, it's going to be the same thing of bringing your index finger to Q, and then pressing A with your ring finger, and then using your index finger when you want to leave the angle by pressing D, and then you will bring your ring finger up to Q to cancel the leaning animation. So again, one more time, just as an example, I will show it here. So I'm bringing my middle finger to Q, then bringing my ring finger to Q to unlean, and then strafing out by pressing D with my index finger. Okay, and the next quick lean that I want to talk about is mostly known as the Shiko quick lean. This one is not only the hardest to do, at least in my opinion, but it also takes the most amount of input in a shorter amount of time. So it's kind of like combining the one-sided quick lean as well as the double lean, but putting them together. So instead of starting out in a neutral stance or a neutral lean position, we are going to be leaning to the side that we want to peek. So if I want to peek this doorway and I want to peek the left side of it, I'm going to be walking up pressing Q or leaning to the left, and then preparing myself. So just to break this quick lean down, we are going to press our A key. We are going to press our A key, strafe into the angle, and then once we want to leave the angle, we will then take our finger and press E, and then D, and then Q right after we press E. So just to show an example, it will look something like this. So step 1 would be to press A, and then step 2 would be to press E, step 3, D, and then step 4, Q one more time. Okay, so now that we understand how to quick lean, let's talk about some examples that you should be using it in and how you should be using it. So firstly, I want to say that quick leaning should not be used for getting kills. You should be using your drones or any other info that you have to your advantage instead of trying to use your life to get the info. But I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this video right now primarily using it for kills, so I want to make sure that you guys are doing it the right way. So the most effective way to use quick leaning for kills is using it to bait out the enemy's pre-aim on you. So if I'm sitting here and there's an enemy holding my doorway and my cross on this angle, I'm not going to sit here back and forth and just quick leaning like this, because this will lead to them pre-firing me wherever my head level is. So instead, what you should be using it for is baiting out the pre-aim level of the enemy. So let's say they start out pre-aiming crouch level. You walk up to the door, quick lean once, or quick lean twice, or a third time, bait out their pre-aim level from crouch level to head height, and then you, in your position, after you're done quick leaning and possibly baiting out their pre-aim, you will then crouch into the angle, being on a completely different level of their pre-aim since they have now adjusted to head level. So this is the #1 way to use this mechanic to your advantage, is primarily to bait out the pre-aim levels of the enemy. Now, an advanced way that you could be using quick lean is also adding crouch into the movement, so that way you put your pre-aim level or your head level in between head height and crouch height. So again, if I'm on this doorway and I want to peek this guy holding my cross, I would do something like this where I incorporate crouching into the movement of quick leaning, or you can do it this way as well. Now, all you're really doing with this is simultaneously pressing crouch as you're quick leaning in, and since we already understand how to quick lean, this step shouldn't be too difficult. So all you're doing is as you're strafing, you're pressing your crouch button, whether you're on hold or toggle, and then you're quick leaning as well. So as you start to strafe into the angle, crouch with the strafe.
Op 4 eliminated. Op 4 eliminated.
But that is pretty much everything when it comes to quick leaning. If you guys learned anything new from this video, make sure you guys leave a like, as it does help out with the YouTube algorithm. And also make sure you guys subscribe. As I said at the beginning of the video, 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so make sure you guys show me some love. And I also want to mention before I go that I'm doing coaching, so if you guys are interested in that, there's a link to my Patreon down below in the description, and yes, I do coach console players. There's also a link to my second channel, as well as a link to the Wichita Wolves, which I am a content creator for, so make sure you guys go show them some love. But with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in the next video.